Good morning. My name's Jacob Montag. Welcome to another episode of The Voice of the Teacher. I'm filming this early on a Sunday morning, as you might could tell from my outfit. As we come to a close with my journey on my master's program, I wanted to take some time and share with everybody exactly what it is we've been doing. So throughout this program, we've been studying something called disruptive innovation and how things sometimes need to change for the better, even if it's a bit of a shock to the people who've already been doing it for a while. Track with me and see if you can share any of these frustrations. You got these really awesome assignments, but your instructional coach relegates them to just a one-off event. It meets one TEK that checks a box on the road to the STAR test. And you're frustrated because you think it should be worth more than that, but it's just an isolated event. And because students know it's just an isolated event, they halfway put effort into it, which really frustrates you. See, I share those frustrations because I've already been down that road. I would have these awesome assignments that were wasted after a week. And that is a fundamental design flaw of the American education system. Stuff taught in isolation. Assignments that would really build skills, but are done in isolation from other classes, other content, other TEKs, you name it. That's what makes a disruptive innovation plan worth the trouble, especially if you know scholars are not being adequately challenged or assessed. So at the beginning of my master's program from Lamar University in Applied Digital Learning, shout out, I began my innovation plan with the core values of experiential learning and assessment as an ongoing form of learning. So basically that looks like project-based learning and e-portfolios. Kids do projects based around a TEK or a series of TEKs. Depending on how many TEKs we're covering, that will probably determine the size of the project. And then they document and present them on e-portfolios. So my website, The Voice of the Teacher, is an e-portfolio showcasing my own schoolwork. So that's what an e-portfolio is. So what does an e-portfolio call for? It calls for students to collect evidence of their learning, and they carry that from subject to subject, content to content, class to class, year to year, even into college. This could be anything from a minor assignment to a large-scale project. And so, depending on what you need to cover, one TEK, a number of TEKs, that's how you design the project. My projects are designed by units, and they cover a series of TEKs. They might make a video, they might make a graphic, they might make a journal after a historical figure. So, and they would write it from the perspective of that person, and it's all research based. This is just an example of stuff you can do with project-based learning in e-portfolios. But a key piece of this is written reflection pieces on others' work and on their work. Because what does that do? It shows growth. It shows that they have learned the skill. It shows that they have acquired the knowledge and they're ready to move forward. This is, of course, done when holding it up against a rubric or a criteria for success, depending on how specific and narrow you want your field of discussion to be. So, why is this important? It develops skills. It develops critical thinking skills. It develops deliverable skills. And it is transferable across academic discipline and across contents. Skills develop through these projects, and they align with the state standards and the district wishes. Most districts will honestly just say, we want student engagement. Great. Then projects are a very simple and easy way to check that box. That's why I personally think it's a better way of doing it than just a multiple choice standardized test, because they're not made to adequately assess or engage them. So one key component that needs to be mentioned is that we use COVA frameworks: choice, ownership, voice, and authenticity. Students have a choice over how specific and even what topic within the unit that they will make their project on. They have ownership over the deliverable. They have voice in that they can give feedback to themselves, to each other, receive feedback for themselves, even give the teacher feedback, because teachers need feedback from students too. I believe that that is a key component of student growth, is when they can learn how to give adults and superiors feedback, especially for future jobs. And then they're going to display those deliverables on their e-portfolios. So far I've done 3 soft runs of the e-portfolio system. The first 2 times was in a project-based learning school. Great environment, loved it. It was perfect for the e-portfolio. I leveraged the project-based approach, and it worked very well for both attempts. Students had freedom of expression. They had freedom over the quality of their work. They had freedom over the kind of deliverable that they had. When I designed it in an online format, I was able to have some feedback from the first 2 times, clarified and expanded on by both professionals and students. And so one thing that I wished I'd done a little bit differently, I wished I'd made a little bit stronger rubrics and criteria for success. It's okay. That's a growth part. That's a growth mechanism on my part. And so knowing that now, when I design this course next year, I can make it better with stronger rubrics and e-portfolio for the e-portfolios and the deliverables and the projects. So it also was very enlightening to me, because we want to give students choice, but choice does not mean without direction. You got to give students direction, because if you just say, well, have at it, they're going to go like, we don't know what to do, because society has sadly taught our kids to practice learned helplessness. And whether you agree with that or not, we can debate that. But there needs to be direction from the teacher, so that way choice, it doesn't mean directionless. Choice has a guiding compass from the teacher. So now that I'm at the end of this the end of this project and the end of this course, what have I learned? One, I learned I need to probably work on my rubric designing skills, as previously mentioned. But I've also learned that a very powerful tool for communicating what you want to do is through multimedia. Hello, this is what we're doing now. Lights, camera, action. This is how people respond to stuff nowadays. Communication through media is what I discovered I tend to excel at a little bit more than maybe some others, and there's others that are even better at it than me. And so I started this podcast, The Voice of the Teacher, and I plan to grow it by covering this education innovation plan and allowing others to come on this channel and broadcast what they want to do to improve the school. And what does it do? It gives a wider audience. It allows leaders to look at it, critically think about it, evaluate it, and it allows conversations to take place. You would not believe, in a brick and mortar setting, how little some principals want to talk about change. Why is that? Change is a dirty word. They're afraid of what could change because all of our jobs are on the line. Let's face it. We can't do the students any good if we're not there. And everybody, I think, wants to be there to help students at the end of the day, right? So do you keep a mediocre system that helps some students and not all, that the one size fits most of everybody instead of everybody? Or do you take that chance on a system that's going to radically have a paradigm shift? There's not that many people that do. And, there's things to be said for both sides of that equation, because I've been on both sides of that equation and I understand. But the critical takeaway, and I think the critical key to having disruptive innovation, is a conversation. I think the conversations need to be had. They needs to start when principals and instructional leaders and classroom teachers and district leaders stop being afraid of change and all come together and say, hey, what is the best way to meet the needs of a 21st century scholars? I think it's e-portfolios. I think it's authentic assessment. Some people might not agree with e-portfolios. Some may want to do an interactive notebook. More power to you. Some may want to do a paper portfolio. More power to you. What meets the needs of your scholars? That's what I think needs to happen. And so that's my key takeaways from the program. for my program specifically, for my project specifically, have a solid structure, figure out how to integrate it within some structures that are already in place, and allow the slow burn to take place for a new structure instead of just coming in with like a bulldozer. The bulldozer method might get you fired. But if you allow that credibility to form, if you allow that creativity to flourish, if you allow the rapport, the conversations to grow, then that's really what will make for effective change in a school system. So I'm confident about the future. And if you have any thoughts or comments, leave it in the space below. And I look forward to hearing about your own innovation plans in the future. If you have an innovation plan and you need to get published for your master's program, shoot me an email. I'd love to publish your work for you. So until next time, this is Jacob Monsag, and stay tuned for a special preview of good things coming ahead. Have a good day.
Thank you.